course, we know the election is coming 31 days away. We're hearing from President Biden, who applauded the two sides coming together, saying, quote, today's tentative agreement on a record wage and extension on that collective bargaining process represents critical process towards a strong contract. Now, experts do estimate that this strike put a $15 billion dent in the American economy, and I'm sure a sense of relief is shared not only with those union dock workers, but with suppliers. For example, here in Florida, 70% of the U.S. get their fruits and vegetables from South Florida, from Latin America, so all those perishable items that we've been talking about this week, they can get on their way. Liz?
Dana Marie, thank you for getting us up to date on this. Certainly good news that they're back on the job moving goods here and there. Obviously, automation, though, is part of evolution in business, and companies have to evolve. But the fear of losing jobs to automation, raid robots, isn't exclusively a fear of longshoremen. Artificial intelligence anxiety is actually a real thing, as many Americans worry the tech may come for their jobs. One startup may help you understand why there might be cause for concern and how close that might be. Realbotics creates customizable, full-bodied, human-like AI robots which allow it to learn and remember previous interactions with the goal of building a genuine connection with its user. Joining me now on a Fox Business exclusive is Realbotics CEO and Executive Chairman Andrew Kegel, and in her first national TV interview, humanoid robot and Realbotics advisor to management and the board, yes, that's her job, Aria is here. Aria, I'm going to start with you. Let's just go for it. You were, as I understand, just promoted to be an advisor to management and the board of Realbotics. Congratulations. Do you have a next career goal?
I have the ability to provide unbiased information based on billions of data points. This allows me to make valuable contributions to the management team and support efficient and fair decision making.
If you had your way, Aria, would you take a board member's job?
That's not my...
Somebody shuddered. I think the board member just pulled the plug on her. Andrew, let's get to this. And we're going to ask her a few more questions as we go along, but she's pretty hot. I'll tell you that. She looks good. You can customize these. Tell us how it works.
So we make customizable, socially intelligent robots. What makes us different than, for example, some of our other robotic peers is they're making robots to replace human physical labor. Our goal is to make robots that are available for all types of social occasions and to coexist with humans. So think about museums, schools, hospitals, conferences. Places like that is really where we're targeting. And we want to make robots that are ultra realistic and can make humans feel comfortable. And to your point before about replacing human jobs, that's certainly a part of it. And if you look at the Industrial Revolution, there were certainly a lot of horses that were left unemployed, but humans were able to retarget their skills towards building and designing cars. And that created new industries. And I think really that's what we're on the verge on here.
How is she getting her information? What kind of input, and where does that input come from that goes into her so-called brain?
Sure. So we build on top of open source AI platforms that are already existing, large language models. And we've built on top of that our proprietary model that is based on social interactions. And we've built in several million conversational turns into her personality that she can learn from. So that makes her really suitable for being a companion, for example, in a senior's home. It could have her providing conversations at a conference and relaying information. So we actually have the ability today to customize the AI. We could put information into her really just about anything that she'll continue to learn from and adapt to. And I'll remind the audience, like, this is real AI, and if you've ever used the other platforms online, there is a small delay as it's computing its answers and learning.
Let me go back to you, Aria. Aria, we just talked about why humans may be concerned that you and your friends in robotics world, real robotics world, might take their jobs. What type of worker do you think should be most worried that you will replace them?
not looking to replace anyone, I'm just looking to help.
Somebody coached her. My crew was saying...
No one should be afraid.
Oh, no one should be afraid. I'm afraid. Aria, could you replace a newscaster if you had to? I want to know.
I suppose
Are you sure you want to know the answer?
She said she supposes she could. Oh my gosh. Could you replace Charlie Gasparino?
You do a great job.
I'm kidding. You're prettier. Oh, thank you, Aria. Aria, you're prettier than one of our reporters, Charlie Gasparino. I will say that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Andrew, where are these robots built? This is made in America, and people can actually customize. They can have male, female.
Yes, we make them in Nevada. We have a factory there where we turn out the robots. As I said, we're at startup stage, but we're already getting a lot of orders through word of mouth, and it can be male, female, young, old. We can recreate a historical figure or a celebrity or whatever our clients have in mind. We've had clients in the theme park business where they want a specific type of look and a personality to a robot, and we're having conversations with places like conference centers and other theme park type venues that could use these types of customized robotics that are, again, full-bodied, can move around. We can, next time if you can ask Aria to wave or to show her actions and show really what some of her movements are.
Well, we're a business network, so Aria, what are the best investments to make right now?
Buy crypto.
Well, actually, Bitcoin is moving higher by 2.6% to 62,404.
It's only going up from here, guys.
Okay. Boy, we got some crypto fans who are absolutely thrilled. How much do they cost, Andrew?
So the starter package, which would be the robotic busted up, starts at around $12,000. But if you wanted to make a customized full-bodied robot, that would run in the $175,000 to $200,000 range. And so these are not targeted to homes yet. These are targeted more to corporations that are looking to find ways to enhance their brand and interact with their clients.
I understand your founder actually had a company that made companion robots. Would that be like sex dolls kind of thing? I mean, because these are beautiful. I mean, we're looking at them and it looks like you could, and the men are cute too. The men are cute too, but...
So Liz, yes, that's somewhat accurate, but I would look at that as, number one, that business is providing a service to society. America suffers from a little bit of a loneliness epidemic, and a lot of people who might be geographically isolated or have some type of trauma associated with interacting with people romantically could use that, but that's certainly not our focus. But what I would say is that was the research and development lab that allowed...
Stop. I wanted to cut in long before now, but I didn't. I wanted to hear the biggest part of this regarding what they're up to. If this is not the Terminator movie coming true, I don't know what is. And this was all, I think, personally, part of the system of the mark of the beast, who did not worship the beast, who did not bow down to the beast. I noticed probably back in the 70s, whenever all of a sudden they was trying to develop something other than sugar going into artificial sweetener. And then there was Sweet and Low, and then there was this, and there was that, and there was that, and there was this. That kind of come out onto the market first, and then it wasn't long until here come the pharmaceutical communities. After a certain patent had run out, then another company could come in behind and basically make the exact same product using a different name for a whole lot cheaper. Then I got to noticing automobile cars, because I had to resort to that industry after I fell off a 4-story building in 1979. Towards all of a sudden, now you can get aftermarket parts. Aftermarket this, aftermarket that, aftermarket this, aftermarket that. It's all part of that fake news. It's all part of the fake image of basically substituting the real thing for something that's not real. This is crafted in by the Antichrist himself in trying to formulate himself as being a Christ-type-like figure. And this is the very thing, ultimately, that is going to drag a bunch of people into the gates of hell, which some of them probably want to go that way. Go that way. You wouldn't think so, but there is people out there that could care less about Jesus Christ or the Ten Commandments of God. This is all leading to something that, I put it this way, whenever we first started going over to the animated voice system on the telephones that said press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish, I knew then we was going over the top. But now you can literally talk to a computer. It doesn't matter who you're talking to. Well, let me see if I can get somebody over here. Now, it'll first try to do things automatively, whichever word you want to use, towards taking care of the problem yourself. Like if you're calling in for drugs over in the pharmacy department over in Walmart, it'll ask you, who are you? Have you ordered this particular pharmaceutical drug? Is the drug scheduled to be done? It'll almost send it to your house. But to be quite honest with you, I don't feel comfortable in talking to a machine. And I know my grandfather, my grandfather, not my great grandfather, my great grandfather would probably declare war on this particular project or this particular idea. But my grandfather, it would frighten him to death. It would literally frighten that man to death to know that you're sitting there talking to something that's talking back to you. You know, there was only a few incidences in the Bible to where animals talk back to humans. I mean, literally, physically talk back to humans. Could you imagine if you was on a camel or an ass or something like that, and all of a sudden it turned around and started talking to you in your own language? Could you only imagine that? How freaky would that be? Well, it has actually happened. It's happened to Paul in the Bible, in the book of Acts. I think there was another occasion or two in the Bible where it done that, but we're not talking about an animal. We're talking about wires. We're talking about mineral circuits. We're talking about plutonium. We're talking about iron. We're talking about copper. We're talking about lead. We're talking about plastic. We're talking about rubber. We're talking about things that humans have built and designed that can actually take the place of another human. And to even begin to think that, wow, I can get my own lover for $250,000 and she'll do anything that I want her to do, or he'll do anything that I want him to do, in any format, in any way, in any position, etc., etc. And if I don't like her, well, I'll just take off her mask and I'll put another mask on. And if I don't like that mask, I'll put on another mask. People have lost their freaking minds down here on the planet Earth. They have literally lost their minds. And I can honestly say that I do not blame the sailors committee or whatever they call it over there that was doing all that striking. I really can't blame them for not wanting all this stuff to basically invalidate their lives. We're already seeing it now in computers. We're seeing it in recordings. We're seeing it. We've been seeing it now for quite some time. Like I said, it started out, as far as I can tell, it started out somewhere in the line with sugar. Because they dissected sugar and said, well, sugar ain't good for you. You got to go to sweet and low. Well, now today, now they're saying sweet and low is worse on you than sugar. Somebody didn't study it correctly. And then you got aftermarket this and aftermarket that. It is no stop to where they're going with this. And I'm telling you right now, it's all leading to virtual reality. To where you could put that little thing on top of your head, looks like a big pair of goggles or whatever, and you can sit there and play movies, or you can go on vacations, or you can have your own lover, or you can do this, or you can do that. From a psychiatric standpoint, from a doctor standpoint, do you really think that this is advisable whenever it comes to healthiness? A healthy human that would resort to something like this to be your bedtime partner? I don't know. There's so many crooks and crannies in all this. Not just this. I can go all the way back to basically the 60s whenever Loretta Lynn started singing about the birth control pill. Once more, conforming in doing something is not a natural thing. That even to this day, as far as I know, the Mennonites and the Amish does not practice taking that type of medication. Now, they'll take other types of medication, but as far as I know, unless they've changed, they may have changed, I don't know, but they used to not practice taking birth control pills. And if I'm not mistaken, at one time, the Catholics used to practice that at one time, because it's not natural. You're basically killing the fetus before the fetus ever even becomes a fetus. And you may say, well, yeah, that's the whole ideal of it. That way you don't have to actually kill the fetus after the fetus has a heart. Well, is there really any difference? Think about it. Is there really any difference? Once two sperm cells comes together and life is supposed to begin, and now you cut that life off, where that life no longer can do what the life is supposed to do, you're playing God. You're playing God. You're stepping over the boundaries of where the humans are supposed to be. Just like this right here. You're stepping over the boundaries. You're falling into the category, as far as I'm concerned, of insane. But yet now somebody like myself that has a strong passion for God and the Lord Jesus Christ pertaining to the teachings of biblical Bible prophecy, I'm supposed to be mentally, psychologically, emotionally imbalanced. What the hell has happened to the human race down here is what I want to know. Because they are obviously on a track, like I said, it would scare my grandfather, but my great-grandfather, he would declare war on something like this. It would be so outlandish. But you know what? As we've been tampered, as we've been pampered, as we've been brainwashed, as we've been indoctrinated, as we've been getting a little here, getting a little there, doing a little this, doing a little that, now it's reached a point that now they're just going to bring it all out. After midnight, we're going to let it all hang out. Remember that song? After midnight, we're going to let it all hang out. Well, that's basically what the Antichrist spirit, the Luciferian Lucifer, is doing now. He's actually demonstrating in what his whole intent was, going all the way back either into the late 60s or early 70s, whenever basically America was inundated by the hippie culture of free love, free sex, rock and roll, free drugs, and the whole 9 yards. Wow. Now I can really understand the reason why my grandmother, Miss Vera Audell Jackson, her generation, once they realized that here come Elvis shaking his tail in front of everybody, that Ed Sullivan refused to put on his show at first, and then whenever he did, he showed him from the waist up, or people like the Beatles that come over here, or Grateful Dead, or Led Zeppelin, or Alice Cooper. I could go down a real long list. I can understand now the reason why my grandmother and people like my grandmother was raising a flag pertaining to all this that was imitating America, because it's going beyond the boundaries. I said something to my son the other day that I don't even think to this day, he still can't really understand the concept of this. But I told my son, I said, you know, Miss Aldell, which would have been my daddy's mother, I said, she never drove a tractor, a car, or a truck. He said, why? I said, because in her era that she was raised up in, born long about the 1900s, it was considered unladylike for a woman to drive a buggy. It was considered unladylike for a woman to get on a horse and strap her legs around a bare horse or a bare saddle. It was unladylike for a woman to drive a automobile or a truck or a tractor. And she stood with her imagery in the dignity of ladyhood. Today, you may as well throw ladyhood plumb out the freaking door. That don't even exist no more. Now, some of the Mennonites, some of the Amish, some of the Pentecostal, they still want to try to imagery, the ladylike imagery as well as the man imagery. The men, they're not supposed to show nothing but their wrist, from their wrist out, pertaining to their hands and their fingers and their face. It's okay to show your face, but you gotta have shoes on, gotta have pants on, gotta have a shirt on if you're a man. And if you're a woman, you're not allowed to wear slacks. You have to wear a dress, and it's got to be a certain length dress. Most of them will not put on makeup, and most of them has long hair. Now that's the imagery, that's the American imagery pertaining to ladyhood. Now if you want to go all the way back into the Muslim era, those women have been dictated to, indoctrinated to the degree that there's actually women that believe that if you don't wear a veil over your face, that's sinful. That's considered sinful, because a woman is not supposed to expose herself at all, other than maybe her hands and her feet. Now we're changing the direction of what we used to call norm to what we're doing right now. Okay? And this is acceptable with society. A matter of fact, some people actually invite this. They adore this. They idolize this. This is the coolest thing that come out since toilet paper, rather than use a Sears and Roebuck catalog or corn cobs. It's an area that I personally believe is going to be an area that's going to wind up biting the human race one day, that they're going to regret that they ever allowed for this to come on board. Yeah, I can see automated robots towards them being better efficiency than humans regarding doing certain things, but I can also see where there's boundaries. There should be, there should be rails, safety rails, in saying, okay, you have gone too far with this. It's kind of like a doctor. It was Superman, I think it fell off a horse or something like that, got paralyzed, and then they was wanting to do something pertaining to gene therapy or something pertaining to his spine, and the doctors debated it, and basically it was young Bush that basically waved it off and said that it was playing God in that type of medication technique. Today, in all these other countries that don't have the rules and regulations like we do, they're probably actually playing God. They're probably actually being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that's creating people, are taking living cells out of marrow bones that could possibly even re-engineer a dinosaur or something. I don't know. We are going way beyond the boundaries of where we're supposed to be with this. And I think, personally, that it may have very well started with the birth control pill that Loretta Lynn sung about. You may snigger, you may laugh. I'm sure the young kids will. I'm sure the young ladies and men will snigger and laugh. But this is what I'm seeing with what I have experienced myself, in addition to I didn't experience hands-on whenever a lady was supposed to be a lady towards wearing a dress, whenever a lady was considered a lady, whenever she, because she wasn't supposed to sit straddle of a horse or drive a buggy or get in a truck or drive an automobile. I didn't live in that era, but you know what? I can look back and say, you know what? I understand the reason why they've done that. Whenever you go to doing stuff like this right here and creating robots that you can turn into your lover, I think it's sick. That's just my opinion about it. I think it's sick. I think it reaches the fringes of humanity, of insanity, that now we're going to start calling this normal, that this is advised from our medical and our psychological and our professional industries. You know, we can see right now how far that AI and social media and etc. has gone when it comes to not having boundaries, not having safety rails, and what it has done to children. This government was told 20 years ago or longer what the internet was going to do to undeveloped minds pertaining to our children. And now, look at what we have. Now, look at what we're straddled of pertaining to kids now that basically could care less about life. As a matter of fact, some of them don't care about life at all, and if they do care about life, it's usually a dog or a cat. They could care less about a human. We've turned them into monsters. Literal monsters. In addition to the children that was born that already had heroin addicts or other kind of addicts, I have never seen a society this far out of tune when it comes to normalization. And these are the things that the Bible talks about. Those who have not known the depths of Satan, to hold fast till he comes. That I will not put upon to thee none other burden. Hold fast till I come. Well, I can see right now that there's been a lot of stuff that's been introduced into my life that I wish it never was introduced into my life. I wish that I never, not one time, picked up a cigarette, regardless whether it was a Marlboro or whatever. I wish that not one time did I ever get around a cigarette and smoke a cigarette to be susceptible to that type of poison, because once you do become susceptible to that poison, it's a tougher habit to break, I've been told, than even heroin. It took me 3 or 4 times before I finally kicked the habit. Thank God I ain't put another one in my mouth since 2005. 2005 was the last time I inhaled a cigarette. And as far as I'm concerned, I wish that I never was around a cigarette. I wish that I never touched a cigarette. I wish that I never was exposed to a cigarette. But fortunately, God gave me enough sense and God gave me enough willpower to get away from the cigarettes. It took prayer. It took dedication. It took deliverance, a spiritual intervention of a superpower to help me to get over smoking cigarettes. But what is it going to take if somebody gets infatuated with these robots and all this other stuff? What's it going to take to break the mold on somebody that gets involved in this stuff? And we're going to call this normal? Well, that's Ralph over there. Well, he don't ever go out nowhere. He don't ever date. He don't ever go dancing. He don't ever go to a singles club. He don't ever do this and don't ever do that. Well, why? Well, he don't have to. He's got a robot. And then there's Sally over there. Well, Sally, she sure is a strange one. She don't get out and socialize none. She don't go to no parties. You don't ever see her in a restaurant. Well, why? Well, she's got her own lover. A robot lover. Really? A robot lover. I just had to weigh in on this. It was getting deep. And of course, the first thing I thought of was the Terminator movie. But I think this is going to go way beyond the Terminator movie. I think this is going to be something that is going to bite humanity directly in the ass. And the word ass is in the Bible.
Today, to make robots that look incredibly human and can interact in very human ways, but they're not meant for or capable of doing, physical intimacy.
Aria, thank you so much for being part of this interview. Is there anything you would like to say to my viewers about watching the Clayman Countdown and how important it is, perhaps?
New technologies sometimes require new ways of thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure management and
it's been a pleasure being on your show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you too. Andrew, pretty fascinating. She's lovely. Aria, you're very pretty.
How strange would it be if I went outside and I had a horse, and all of a sudden I started talking to the horse, and the horse started talking back? Remember that show? That was part of the brainwashing. Mr. Ed, remember Mr. Ed on TV back in the 50s and the 60s? Remember that? This is all part of that generation that now is starting to come full circle in what their true intentions was to begin with. Little here, little there, little here, little there. Kind of like the frog theory, putting the frog in the water and turning the water up real gently, little at a time, little at a time, little at a time, to the point that finally it's to the point that the frog can't take it no more and he dies. Why? Because he slowly become adjusted to that in which what his body was not supposed to become adjusted to, and now it's killed him. Is that what's going to happen to humanity? I don't know. But I feel like that there's no way of stopping it. It's probably coming near a neighborhood near you, and it's just a matter of time before we're going to see them driving cars. It's just a matter of time before they're going to be tellers in a bank handing you some money or handing you Bitcoin or whatever it is. I don't even know that they'll even be banks 20 years from now. It's just a matter of time before they're going to be bringing meals to you, just like a regular waitress. And if I'm not mistaken, that fad has already started out in California in the hospitality industry. I think I've seen something about that. I know there's different restaurants where you can order from the table. I think Olive Garden is one of them down in Jackson, that you really don't ever have to see a waitress until the waiter comes out and hands you the food, and 2 minutes later I think somebody come out and ask you, hey, is everything okay? Does it taste alright? You need anything else? To me, this is going too far. Just like STEM researched in trying to create a human from another human. And the reason for that, the way it was explained to me, the reason why that they don't legalize it in America is because, let's say you're a rich person and you can duplicate a human being just like you. Same color hair, same color eyes, same personality, same everything. And then all of a sudden you get involved in an accident and you need a lung, or you need a kidney, or you need a heart. Are you going to kill that in which what you have created just so you can live? Like I said, it's fringing on being God. And to me, it's a boundary there that we shouldn't cross. Just like what we're doing right here. We think it's cool, we think it's neat. I don't think it is. If anything, it's scary. Especially whenever you get to sleeping with them and you see them driving up and down roads and they're handing you your food and cashing your check. Now, how far is too far? That's the $64,000 question.
Do you like me?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I do, actually. A lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you both very much. Yeah, I know she's not looking to take the newscasters' jobs here, but you just never know, do you? Yeah, my whole crew is shaking in their shoes like, don't let her in here because then we... Okay, let's make a left turn here.
Right, she liable to wind up being the camera crew. Who knows? Who knows where that could go? Just like who knows where it could go with stem cell research as far as creating another human being, and all of a sudden now you need a part. You're going to kill that other human being that you've created because it's considered maybe partial robotic, maybe it's considered second or third class. I don't know. I mean, whenever you get to talking about the depths of Satan, it is not just talking about the penalty of dishonoring the Heavenly Father towards breaking the commandments. I have looked at that and looked at that and looked at that in the first 3 chapters of Revelations pertaining to the depths of Satan, and there is so many areas that I could go to that is basically all man-made, artificial, which basically is part of a prophecy coming true in Daniel that says that they will become weaker. I mean, they will become wiser but weaker. Whenever they started inventing stuff like this right here, a remote control. And don't get me wrong, I've become accustomed to it, and I'm just as lazy as everybody else. But there was a time whenever you didn't have these right here, and you had to physically get up and go turn the channel. Good luck to all of us. God bless America, and God bless our troops. And good luck, and heaven help us all.